for me, that moment always sticks in my head when I think of what is music and what can music do. It's like you can speak a language that no one else does, but everyone relates to it. And it's like, the emotion of it. I don't know. I love music, but definitely as I get older, I grow more and more in love and appreciate it more. Just do things that make you uncomfortable. And I think that that's so valuable in life. Like, some of my most fun memories or things that I look back on and I'm most proud of have been things that I was uncomfortable with doing at the point, I love when people experience something for the first time, like whether it's a concert, or it's traveling or like going somewhere, and like just there's more than this little circle. Like it's a whole big spectrum of like what you can do, and it's just, I don't know, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Hey, Connor, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Episode number 7.
Oh.
I just wanted to sit down with you today and get to know you at a deeper level and just kind of see what your childhood was like and growing up, what influenced you to become a firefighter and to go the musician route that you have. And
Totally.
yeah, welcome.
Cool. So we'll just kind of start way back when, but yeah, so my name's Connor Hensley. Originally, before I was adopted, it was Connor Swineford. So back when I was 2, my parents, Ray and Joyce Hensley, adopted me. So that was really awesome. It was a super, definitely helped my life turn out pretty well. At the time, my birth mother had my birth sister, and it definitely, it was kind of a trip because I was the one that she put up for adoption and my birth sister was not. So she kept my birth sister and didn't keep me. So that was definitely I guess it was a lot to work through, but I didn't quite realize it till I got older. My parents, they were 40 when they got married. They adopted me when they were 45. So definitely was raised by an older generation, which I think kind of we'll talk about a little bit later when we get into investing and all that. But it was definitely a trip to, as I kind of came to awareness about adoption and stuff like that, to kind of process that and realize who I am and why I am the way that I am. So yeah, with my parents, once they adopted me, they were real big into church. So we grew up going to like a small town Pentecostal church and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. The dynamic of being raised by parents that were, in their 60s when I was in high school. Like, my parents were most kids' grandparents' age, so it was a little different. And I think that kind of really reflected to my worldview and how I perceive things, because I do feel like I relate with people that are definitely a lot older than me, and just kind of the way they were raised. But yeah, it's as a kid, I loved music, so music was always a big part. My parents, they said, after they had adopted me, within less than a couple months, I'd had all the pots and pans out in the kitchen and wood spoons and playing them like drums. It probably sounded terrible, but no rudiments or anything like that. But yeah, it was definitely a trip. I loved TV where they'd put on any sort of music show. Now, my parents, they were big into gospel. So it was Southern gospel, Southern Baptist style music. So I grew up listening to a lot of that and Bill Gaither and different things like that. So it was it's kind of funny looking back, because that's definitely not this genre or style of music that I like now. But as a kid, it was awesome.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Nampa, Idaho. I was born in Boise. So my birth parents and everything were from this area. And my dad actually worked with my birth mom at Idaho State School. So that's how I ended up through that connection. Basically, that's how I ended up uh, being adopted by them, because my parents had just thrown out the fillers that, hey, we're looking to adopt a kid. We can't have kids. And they met, he was working with my birth grandma. She's like, hey, my daughter has a son that she doesn't want. So that ended up being me. Yeah,
So did you end up being the single child in that household because you were adopted by them, and
Yeah,
they
so
didn't adopt any others? Or?
well, so they actually ended up adopting two more. So my younger brothers, Jonathan and Dakota. So I'm the oldest, then it goes Jonathan, then Dakota. And they were both adopted. They're biologically related, but they're actually from Ohio, because all my dad's side of the family's from Indiana. So he kind of had connections over there as well. And somehow or another, they ended up finding out about this family that was putting Jonathan and Dakota up for adoption. So it's kind of funny in family photos. We'd always joke about it, because you have, like, my mom's blonde, taller than my dad's bald, and then my two adopted brothers are both blonde and look a lot like each other. And then I'm just the curly haired big dude in the photo. So it's like definitely a very disorganized family photo for Christmas every year, but it's pretty fun. We love it.
And do you think you got the musical talent from your birth parents, or did you have
That's
influence?
what's so trippy. Yeah, that's what's so trippy, is literally like my biological parents are not into music, and my adopted family is not into music either. So it definitely like, I don't know. It's just, I fell in love with music for what it was. As I got older, like, I realized that it's just such a cool, because I did it all through, let's see, like, I mean, since I can remember, I was playing drums in church. That was my parents' big push. They wanted me to do music in church. So it was, drums, piano, guitar, anything you can do, in church. And that definitely, it was just, I developed a love for it as I got older. So I just remember the first time when I was on a wildland firefighting crew. We'd been working 15-hour days, digging line, punching line. And we all get back to the camp, and there's crews from Washington, Idaho, all over, we're all in this incident. And we're all they had a fire going, and one of the guys from the Helitech team had brought a guitar. And, he's like, he kind of noodled around on it, and we kind of passed it around the circle. But just playing there with, like, people who spoke different languages, were from totally different upbringings, things like that. It was a really cool, for me, that moment always sticks in my head when I think of what is music and what can music do. It's like you can speak a language that no one else does, but everyone relates to it. And it's like, the emotion of it. I don't know. I love music, but definitely as I get older, I grow more and more in love and appreciate it more. Yeah, it's, yeah, I guess that answers that. Maybe.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. When I've traveled around, I've seen like buskers on the street, or they just draw a crowd, and it's just like everyone just respects and just is in awe of like someone who is musically talented,
who plays.
It just brings out something that not most people can bring out.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's so cool. I know you've gone and bus before.
Yeah, I was about to say back in oh man, it was actually on those wildland crews that we get our R&R days, our rest and recovery days, after a 14-day run. And I go downtown Boise. I had a little wagon or wheelbarrow that I'd throw all my drums in. Basically, go park out right there on 8th Street, set it up, put a Bluetooth speaker, and say, "Hey, anyone play any song?" And I'll play along to it. And it's crazy. You'd make like $300 a night doing that. So it was awesome. As an 18-year-old kid, you're like, "This is gonna be my life." Like, I found my new calling. So it was pretty awesome for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always thought of like, who are my friends that are super talented, and you and my friend David have always been those top two. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're pretty talented, man.
Yeah,
lots of different instruments too, which is crazy.
Yeah. I started piano. Well, drums technically was my first one I played in church, and then my parents actually put me in piano lessons. And then when I was about 11, I started picking up guitar. Once I started realizing that a guitar was just a piano, it's just 6 pianos laid down this way. It started that clicked for me for some reason. It's like weird way to think of it, but I was like, oh, it's because pianos are so, just chronological and very in order. And it was like guitar, I was always like, oh, your fingers are here and here. But the moment that it was like, wait, it's just a piano laying this way on each string. And I was like, aha. It's definitely one of those moments, but it takes, I'd say the hardest is that I'm still struggling to get like great at is guitar. Like I love guitar. I love to play it, but it's definitely the more you play it, the more you realize that you don't know. You know, the more you
Mm.
play with professionals and stuff like that, like you kind of realize, wow, this is very difficult. Like to become elite at it, I would
Mm.
say like you can quarter around on it, but to actually like be great at solos, jazz, rock, all the encompassing genres, it's probably the most difficult, I think. But I've never played like woodwinds, so I never played like trumpet or saxophones or any sort of like that style, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, I
yeah.
wish I would have got started younger because I didn't start playing drums until middle school.
Oh, okay.
And that was my grandpa's a drummer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know if you know the band Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Really?
He was in their original band before they were called that. So they're out of Caldwell, Idaho.
Okay, I didn't
And
know
he
that.
was their drummer, but he was a jazz blues player.
Totally.
And the revolution of like drumming happened right around that time
Yeah.
where they started to, rock was a new thing.
Yeah.
And he got booted from the band because he wouldn't switch over to a rock style.
Yeah.
So he's kicking himself in the butt for that.
Oh, I
'Cause,
bet.
yeah, they went on to be pretty famous.
That's pretty crazy.
But yeah, that song Cherokee Nation is
Yeah.
one of my favorite by them. And
That's awesome.
I can't play it in their household.
It's
Yeah.
an instant no talk about, right?
Yeah, but it was pretty cool. So I always wanted to play drums because of him. I looked up to him. He would
Mhm.
we didn't have a drum set at the time when I was
Mhm.
little. He had sold it
Yeah.
a long time ago, but he would always have his drum pad and his old drumsticks, and he
Oh,
would
okay.
do these rudimentary lessons with us. And
Yeah.
I just wish I would have started younger because I think
Mhm.
that's a huge part of being a musician is getting started young
Yeah.
to be successful. And
It
it's
is.
like
You retain
you're just a
so much.
sponge.
Yeah,
you
you
just pick it up faster.
Yeah. Well, and I think
But-
that that's so Tori and I, so my wife Tori, getting how we met her a little bit later, but yeah, we definitely value that. We talk about that with when we have kids in the future. It's like we want to start them young because the younger you can start kids on music and being able like because I just know for me playing younger, it made it so much easier to retain as I got older. Because it's like if I try to pick up a new instrument now, like I was trying to like get good at banjo, it takes so much more mental focus to like, okay, I'm going to put in an hour a day versus as a kid, you're like, oh, you know, after I get done playing outside, I'm going to come inside and play some drums, play some piano, work on it. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely, it's a trip for sure.
Yeah. So, growing up, did your other siblings play, or was it just you?
Yeah, so my parents wanted all of us to play. They've put Jonathan and Dakota in piano lessons. Neither of them took to it though. So
Yeah.
like my parents had this beautiful grand piano in the house that I would just sit on, and we had like basically our dining room was like a
Mm.
music room at the house. So we had a drum set in the corner and a couple guitars, and yeah, it was a good time. My brothers just never really we didn't have very many similar interests, which is kind of interesting because I always wonder if it's because like their adoptive side of the family versus mine, like
Mhm.
what our parents' interests were, you know, because
Yeah.
it's they've never actually been contacted their birth parents. I have
Mhm.
to find out that they weren't like into music or anything like that, just because of a
Mhm.
lot of curiosity when you're growing up. You're like, huh,
Mhm.
I wonder why, you know, but
Do you have a relationship with your sister and
I've talked to her a
your
few times.
parents?
It's not like I wouldn't say it's like it's more of like a probably once every 3 months type
Yeah.
thing. Like so it was closed
Mhm.
adoption, so I waited till I turned 18
Yeah.
before we could even have the conversation. But it was really trippy. We actually went to Panera for our first time to meet. We're sitting there and it's like I'm meeting her for the first time, you know, and I could see the smile. That's like one thing you can see between her, myself, and my birth sister is like we all have the same exact smile. And again, I have size 15 feet. I have a 6'4" wingspan. I'm very oddly proportioned. So I was like, where did I get this? Like, you know, like was my birth dad just a giant or something like that? But yeah, he also had very large feet. So yeah, come to find out. So it was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah. So I was always into sports. Sports and music were kind of my thing. So I loved football, loved basketball, loved baseball. Grew to love rugby later on. So it was, you know, did track, did all of it, and it was a lot of fun. My brothers also, that was not one of their interests. So it was
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting. Like Jonathan loved video games, anything video game related. He could spend any day and all day on those. Dakota was very mechanically minded, like, and he loved building things. Like when my parents would ground him and take away like Wi-Fi or something like that, he'd build his own router system under the bed and hide it. Like he just, yeah. So
Jeez.
it's definitely,
That's funny.
yeah. It was a pretty crazy brothers.
Yeah, you got the muscle. He's got the
The brains, yeah,
and-
brains and bronze.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan, we don't know what he has. Yeah, middle child syndrome for sure.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know if I've met your siblings. I'm not for sure, to be honest. But,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, growing up, you into sports and the music. What was your parents' influence on like the real estate aspect of things? Because I know you've talked about them
Yeah.
having this plan if they do that every few years they do something
Yeah.
with a
So
house.
my mom's side of the family grew up really, really poor. They had 7 siblings. They lived in like 40 different states growing up. Like they just moved for work because her dad, after getting out of the military, was basically would do like construction and stuff. And each kid had a different skill from them. So my uncle's really good at drywall, aunt's really good at painting, and like you're going to learn flooring, you're going to learn tile work and sheetrock hanging, all that. So they basically, as the 7 kids, learned growing up on how to do construction, how to work on homes, but had no money to their name. My dad, on the other side, he grew up in Indiana, well, originally Kentucky, then they moved to Indiana, and his family as well was, I would say, decent, like not very wealthy or anything like that, but they had all worked at factories like Chrysler and things like that down there. So he wanted to buy a home. That was a very big portion. So him and a buddy teamed up, bought their first house, and then my dad realized, oh, well, I want to do rentals, and I think my parents getting married at 40, like they both were very cemented in like trying to make it in like their adulthood and who they are. So like my dad definitely he bought the first place, then buys the second one after saving. I think he said it was 3.5 years between buying the first one, the second one, to buy his first rental. And then that was pretty much what he lived off. Like he was still working and stuff, but he just had those 2. And then once him and my mom got married, they were like, well, he got a job at Idaho State School, made just enough at the time. The housing market was cheap enough. He's like, let's start buying homes. So growing up, we lived on a house off of Honey. And then like my dad waited till the next door neighbors put their house up for sale. He bought that one, bought the one on the left. So then he had 3 rentals there. He sold one of the ones he had back in Indiana, which gave him some cash flow to then buy a couple more. So at the time he was at like 5 or 6 rental homes that, and their big thing was the family would always do the work themselves. So because all my mom's side of the family, if it needed drywall, needed work, needed whatever, we just basically contracted out to the siblings. And growing up, we grew up in rentals like constantly, people destroy them, hoarder conditions, stuff like that. We're hauling stuff out to the dump. And I just saw that and it was like, wow, this is really good cash flow. It's a lot of work and a lot of initial investment, but it is really good cash flow in a way to make passive income, especially as they get paid off. And, my parents were very much Dave Ramsey fans. They carry no debt. They installed that in us very young. Like, you guys do not carry debt. You guys do not, like everything you buy cash. I definitely have changed my views on that a little bit, but like, I do see the value in that because like, whereas they're not, neither of them are college educated or anything like that. They really, their only debt was 4 houses, like they'd buy a house and then they'd pay that off. And yeah, once you get it, my dad always said, once you get like 3 paid off, it's like a cascade snowball where you can buy one. And I think they're at like 8 or 9 now. And then they usually would flip like at least 1 or 2 homes a year. So yeah, they cash flowed pretty well off that. The other thing was my parents they were very much, we live like we are poor. We don't have money. Like that's the standard that they set. Like, hey, we're going to go to McDonald's. It's 1 large drink that we're all sharing. If it was a large, that was if we're lucky, right? Like, so it was a little different to they were very tight on money. They had a Ford Windstar minivan that we probably put 350,000 miles on, like it one vehicle for the whole family. Like it was very much, we don't buy anything outside of our means. We live within our means. And it's been fun to watch them now in retirement. My dad's been retired now for like 5 or 6 years. They still want to live that way. Like, is it penny pinching? I'm like, guys, enjoy your money. Like, but they're very much, they're big into the church and want to give a lot of that money back to the church. And that's very important to them. And they're actually just adopted my niece. So Jonathan had a kid, in and out of jail, won't take care of it. He's not the greatest individual, but my parents actually ended up adopting my niece. So now they're in their 70s and have a 3-year-old. So
wow.
Yeah, kind of a trip. But
Yeah. Are they close to, still in the area? Or?
yeah, they live like 7 minutes from us. So we see them. I'd say we see them.
Yeah.
Like all my family's kind of relocated to Nampa. So we kind of all see each other at least once
that's quite the
week.
Quite the thing to take on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy as parents for sure. Cause like, I don't know. It's just Tori and I definitely do that. Like at some point we're going to end up with my niece sister, I guess, however you'd classify that. Just as my parents get older, right? Like they hit their 80s, stuff's gonna get a little tougher to get around and stuff like that. So we're trying to kind of prepare in every way we can. Like we bought a duplex, and I guess so our real estate investment, Tori and I, well, okay, I'll just start it like Tori. So basically, let's see. Yeah, we'll go. I joined. Well, I'll circle back to high school and then how I got in a fire, which then that's how I met Tori and all that. So basically, so yeah, through high school, I was pretty set on I'm going to be a professional football player. Like in my head, that was like, it is what it is. I was looking at college scholarships for football, going to the BSU camps for recruitment and all that. I was very much set on that. Like you couldn't have told me otherwise. And it's kind of funny because like looking back, I was like, wow, like so I went to Nampa Christian up until my junior year. And then at Nampa Christian, I'd started dating this girl from the church. We'd known each other for like 13-ish years. And yeah, basically my parents' church had gotten, my parents didn't necessarily like her. They believed in like prophecies and all this kind of like, I call it extreme religion. That's kind of like how Tori and I refer to it now as extreme religion. But like, the speaking in tongues and stuff like that, snake handling services, like pretty out there things, I think. So
are you still faithful to a higher power?
I would say, yeah, I believe in relationship over religion is definitely what I believe. And I believe that like religion has turned a lot of things very, very manly or humanly. Like they've made it of man.
Well, I think the man-made aspect of religion is a lot of the problem.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like my wife and I are very faithful and rooted in our faith with God, but we go to a church that's not very religious.
Yeah,
it's a very faithful, faith-based, Jesus-only church.
Yeah.
So I talk to so many people. It's the man-made aspect of it.
Well, it's ridiculous. Like I don't know, like growing up where it was just like, okay, like I kind of related God and Santa Claus, like, oh, you better be good or you're going to hell type thing. Like, at the end of the year, like it was definitely it was a tough thing because my parents were so into it. Like my mom religiously wakes up at 5 a.m. every day to pray for an hour and a half. Like, and it was very much, nothing's ever wrong with our family. We don't speak, we don't tell, we keep everything in house. We have to look good for the church. And that was very much how they were, like I said, speaking in tongues, doing like slain in the spirit. I just remember like being a kid and like all the people would lay down and they put blankets over them and they're speaking in another language, and like, just, it was, I don't know, very much theatrical in a way. Like people are like trying to outdo the other person and get louder than the other person because, oh, they're closer to God or they speak the language better. And it's just like, it was very distasteful to me, especially as I get older and I talk to some of the people that were the few kids that we had in the church, like kind of what did we all experience? What did we see? What was that? Like going to church camps, and it just, yeah, like it was kind of interesting too, because I had a cousin that was my same age, and he was very much raised. We went to the same school, and he, for him and his like parents, they were very, I'd say, easygoing religion. Like it wasn't so, for us, it was church Sunday. We go twice. Wednesdays was youth meetings. Mondays was men's prayer meeting. Thursdays was women's prayer meeting. Then we're going to school, a Christian school, where Tuesdays was chapel. We had Bible class every single day. So, I mean, we were literally getting, it felt like 12 services a week, which was just a lot, It was a lot as a kid to just be so overwhelmed in it. And my parents' biggest thing in life, they wanted me to be a pastor. They wanted us to carry that same exact faith. Pentecostal is the only way to heaven, right? Like,
Okay.
very much believe that, oh, well, you have to speak in tongues. You have to do this to be saved. It was, and I don't fault them getting older. I look at how they were raised, and like for them, they're a step less out there than their parents were. Because like their parents were on the Bible Belt, where it was snake handling services. The women are borderline Mennonite. Like they don't cut their hair. They don't, pierce their ears. When we go swim in Indiana, it was always trippy. We'd wear jeans and a button-up shirt to go swimming because we had to be modest, and it was like getting in the river, and that was normal within my family's culture to do that growing up. And it was just, it's different. Like, because I'm definitely like the rebel, long-haired tattoo of the guy of the family, so it was a lot. So kind of to where I met that girl, her name was Zuri. We dated for like 3 years. Back, we'd met at church, and my parents actually, hey Connor, we want to talk to you. And they had these two elder members from the church, Jim and Christine. They'd only been there for a few months, but they basically came in and sat down. They're like, hey, God gave us a vision and a prophecy that, this girl you're dating has a plan to trap and snare you and get pregnant with your kid. And you need to break up with her. This is God's will. And they spoke that as like prophetic word. And like, I'm going, what the heck? Like this has to be a joke, right? Like you guys, I'm looking at my dad and my mom, they're dead serious. They're like, no, you're going to break up with her tonight. And I'm like, we've been dating for a year and a half. Like it was definitely a trip. I just remember that moment because it was a defining moment because my dad basically says, okay, well, you can either break up with her, you can get out of our house. So I was like, okay, like I'm not breaking up with her over a prophecy. So I moved out and actually moved in with Palm. So
okay.
Yeah. At the time, moved in with Palm, and like him and his family for a few days. I was kind of sorting it out, and that was just it was a trip because I just couldn't believe like my own parents wouldn't just talk to me like, hey, we don't like her, or this is why. It had to all be hidden through God. God said this, so this is why it has to happen. And for me, that just was like, as a kid, especially because I'm probably 15, 16 at the time, I'm going, what is this? Like, but again, it was so taboo, and my parents would talk about anything that wasn't God related. Like, we don't cuss. We don't, we get in trouble for saying gosh because it's a pseudo cuss for the word God.
I was
things
like
that.
Still intending for it to mean that.
Yeah. Like it was pretty intense,
Yeah. Just speaking of like the relationship aspect of it with your parents, because this is my experience. My parents didn't educate me on all of that when it comes to men and women and what happens when you have feelings, and when it comes to sex,
if we would have
and all
talked
that
about
stuff.
sex, and that's such a funny thing because like I'm like, you guys dance around everything, like but it's just so not spoken in their belief system. Like it's sex is it's obviously marriage only is very much their view on it, and it's still very private. Like you never talk. And as a kid, like I think that's one of the most important things is your kids get older and are in that age, like you need to have that conversation with them. Like don't be scared because like you'd rather it come from you as their parents than from a kid at school,
it's
right?
your responsibility as a parent. You're
exactly
you're protecting them, and you're making sure that they understand what the responsible route is.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're gonna figure it out through trial and error, and they're gonna go with their emotions, and they don't know better.
Exactly.
They're not mature.
It's a trip.
So
it's a trip.
It's one thing that I know I will be doing differently with my kids.
Yeah. Totally. That's exactly where I'm at as well. I'm
They were
like, I want,
embarrassed about it.
yeah, it's like
It was an
shameful.
embarrassment.
It's
They
like
were too
shameful.
embarrassed to have the conversation
Yeah.
with me.
And
So,
it's insane
yeah.
because like you're just going, like, come on. And like at the time, like Tori and I hadn't even had sex. Like that was the craziest part. So like for me as a kid going, hey, I'm being accused of something through a prophecy that's like, well, it ended up kind of actually blowing up to being bigger because we went to a religious school and it's like against their protocols and all that to, so it got brought up to the school board. And next thing you know, I'm expelled from Nampa Christian. So I ended up my junior year into that having to now look at public schools and going to Nampa High. And that really did take a toll on kind of all the football scholarships and things I was looking at. Cause now I'm having to go appeal to boards to even be eligible to play because they're saying, oh, you get recruited. There's all those sub laws and stuff like that. So it was definitely, it was hard as like a 16, 17-year-old that had a very good path. Like I was 4.0 student, like great at all sports like just really, that was a huge part of my identity and that I'd put all my time. I would get off sports practice, go work a shift at Carl's Jr., get done there, go hit gym state, get a workout in at night, go wake up for weights, and go school, repeat every day. Because I was so focused on, I'm going to maintain good grades. I'm going to get scholarship. I'm going to do all that. So to just have that all wrecked in a sense, it was a lot. So kind of fast forward, I ended up my senior year going in Nampa High, and that was a trip. Like I loved it. I wish I would have gone there way sooner because it's like finally, it's not all these. Everything's not based on how religious you are. It was very much who you are as a person, where you're at, and like that's my philosophy: is where you at as a person. Let's love you as a person, and meet you for where you're at. And I think that was really, it's therapeutic in a sense to just like see people that aren't judging each other. Cause I grew up like with my parents, like, oh, well, so-and-so wore this to church and so wasn't here and so missed this. It was very much a judgmental culture. And I just hated that. Cause like, I just,
I church hopped a lot as a kid.
yeah.
And, I got to see a lot of different churches, a lot of different like denominations and stuff like that. But, the church we go to now, I actually went to it one time as a kid with my dad. And
okay.
Maybe we just church hopped so much he didn't give it a chance to see if we liked it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just completely different experience than what I have in our church. So it's like if you find the right church,
totally,
you can enjoy it and you can grow in your faith. But there's a lot of issues out there with the religious man-made aspects of things, and the stereotype becomes true, resentments build, and the communities aren't there. So I want everybody to find like the right place for them because they are out there.
Yeah. I agree, and I 100% believe they are, and I think it's that's what you hit on it right there. It's community. It's church is a community, and a community is there to support and love and help people, and like that's it. Like I just looking, and again, my like the pastor, because we only did the one church. I had experiences later on as I got into high school and looking around where I had played drums for different churches, and that was a trip because I'm coming from a 50-person church to now going and playing drums for more mega church styles, and it was really interesting to see kind of behind the scenes there. I guess like see I call it the fog and lights and screens and smoke and mirrors show that you're putting on with the click tracks and all that. Like I've seen kind of both ends where we sing the same, I don't know, 10 gospel hymns every single time to where now it's, playing Chris Tomlin and all the, whatever the newest Hillsong United and all the songs they wrote. And it's cool. Like I see positives and I see pros and cons from both, but I think that you're going to find that any church you go to, you're going to always find them. I just think the most important part is the community. Like you said, finding the place where you feel like your people are loved, they fit in, like your whole, and it's there to grow and encourage each other. So I mean, it was crazy going to Nampa High. It was fun. I loved it. And it was actually my AP statistics teacher that was like, hey, Connor, like, I know you were really set on this football thing. Like it's, you can, because I was still looking at scholarships, but they're not near the offers that I was wanting. And I knew the debt was so bad, right? Like I wasn't going to go play at BSU for, a quarter of a scholarship at the time. So it was definitely yeah, I don't know. It was a real debate of how I'm going to set up the rest of my life. And that statistics teacher, Mr. Carruthers, was like, "Hey, I did wildland firefighting. Like, you should try this out and like just go do it this summer season." It's like, okay. So he kind of put me in contact, and Palm and I actually ended up on the same crew doing it together through Patrick because we were both working at like Carl's Jr. at the time. I
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, dude, I found this out. Like, is something you'd be interested in?" And he was like, "Yeah, man. Like, let's do it."
So
So
was that Forest Service stuff?
yeah, so it
Okay.
was through a contract crew called Patrick.
Oh,
They're out of
okay.
Boise based and stuff. So it
Yeah.
was like a contract crew, but
Mhm.
it was super fun. Like again, being 18, graduating high school, traveling around. Again, that culture, like I was talking about, just random people from different walks of life. And it was kind of funny because we all joked about it because Patrick was either 18-year-olds that were fresh out of high school, or it was all like felons, basically,
Yeah.
was the crew. So it was a rough group of guys, but it was a lot of fun. Had a blast with it. Went to all these different states, got to go on all these different runs, and it was just it's pretty cool to travel. And kind of that was my first experience because we didn't travel as like kids or anything like that.
Mhm.
So that was my first experience even seeing like outside of Idaho and all these different
Okay.
states. So that was so eye opening, and I just again, another one of my philosophies is like travel, see the world, like enjoy those things because there's so much you can get so circled in your same circle. When you start kind of expanding your horizon and just seeing what's out there, you're like, wow, this is crazy. And like you
Mhm.
said, just talk to people, like get to know where they're from. And yeah, it was awesome. So did that. Kind of the defining moment that even got me thinking about structure fire was we were in Tennessee on the Gatlinburg fires, and there was a water tender that was there, and we'd been punching line for a 10-hour day and kind of hiking back, and we see a water tender that's off the side, and I was just kind of talking to him, because we're on a hand crew of 20 guys that basically you wake up 05 and you go dig all day, and then you come back and you do the same thing the next day, and he's just standing there by the water tender, and hey man, like what gig is this? Oh, I work for the city. And then he tells me how much he's getting paid to be there. And I was like, what? Like, so it definitely was like, there's a smarter way to be doing this. Cause like
Mm.
I started looking at a lot of the older guys on my crew going, there's one we had named Sal that was 60. And it's like, can't do this physically when I'm that age. Like, constantly just digging line all day. So it was really it was like, wow, there's guys that are a lot smarter about this than I am. So yeah, I kind of started looking into that. So when we got back off that season of doing that, I started kind of looking around. Yeah, coming back, I was working at Cracker Barrel actually. So they'd hold my job. I get back, I work a few days there, and then until the next fire run would come, and then I go hop on that. And that was the reality point for me where I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Like, I don't, wildlands fire's fun. A lot of the guys there, it's very much you work the season, then you claim unemployment, and that just wasn't me. I was like, I don't want to have to sit around waiting for a call. I like consistency and I like things that I can grow and build. And it's, you can go for the Forest Service. It was just talking to all the Helitech, all the different, I guess, jobs within it. I try to learn and talk to everyone and try to figure out what's the smartest route. And the one that kept coming back was like structure fire has good benefits and they're very
Mhm.
well rounded. So when I came back home, I actually yeah, I got my like life insurance license because I was like, oh well, I just need money. Like so I tried to sell that, trying to do all that. And was looking at starting my EMT course. And when I was in my EMT course, it was actually my instructor who was kind of had mentioned, oh, the military had firefighters. And I'd never really considered joining the military. That was never really like in my deck of cards. So it was really much like it's very intimidating. Like, oh, because I just heard so many things about the military and oh, you
Mhm.
joined it. It's gonna be, they're sending you to war, right? And like it was so talking went and met up with Thomas, who was, the fire chief of the guard unit. the 938th at the
Mhm.
time. And yeah, he kind of did like a little interview, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So he's like, hey man, you'll get your fire one, your fire two. Cause that was the biggest thing around here at the time. There was no way to go get it without going out of state and investing all this money and time and taking time off work to go get your fire certs and all of that just to then apply. You aren't even guaranteed the job. So it's a very daunting, especially when I was so debt free focused. I wanted to not be in debt, that was so big. So this kind of seemed like the best alternative. It was like you can join the military, you get all your stuff paid for, and I get paid while I'm there. And yeah, I remember telling my parents on that, and they were just, you're doing what, and like everyone around me, all my friends, because like it was, oh, you're going from this was the kid that was gonna play football and do big things with that to now it's he's joining the military, doesn't have his life figured out type thing. So it was definitely that was a trip. Yeah, it was awesome though. I would never give that experience away, going to basic, going through uh the fire school and all that and all the fun people you meet and
Mhm.
being in the military.
Yeah. I mean, did you
What-
did you enjoy your time at San Angelo?
I did. It was funny because it was just the people there. I'm
Yeah.
very much a people person. If there's
Yeah.
people in a crowd I can be around that I like, we'll make the
Yeah.
best.
I enjoyed the food.
Yeah, I like the food on the Air Force Base. Yeah.
We were fed well there.
Mm.
I remember being able to take food back to the
Yeah.
room and
I was
getting
like,
as
"What
many
is this?"
plates as I wanted. Yeah, that was my favorite experience. I grew up super sheltered and
Yeah.
timid, so I was still in that phase kind of
Yeah.
after basic training, and then just the shock factor of
Yeah.
going through basic training.
Yeah.
Luckily, fire school is a lot different environment.
Yeah.
Like we had some freedoms.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as bad, but yeah, I still wasn't a people person.
Yeah.
And I struggled with the social aspect, but I really enjoyed the structured,
Mm-hmm.
like never experienced that in my life. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a huge foundation that I wish all people could experience.
I agree.
I think it's very valuable to experience something like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the United States should go conscripted, but
Yeah.
there's something really valuable about it for a lot of people to benefit from.
You grow so much, and that's where like doing that, being around all these adults that like I guess kids turning to adults, and
Yeah.
that's what was so cool to see, and like the team aspect, the teamwork, the work ethic that like
Mhm.
you're getting and like the discipline. I think that's so valuable because so many people's lives just need discipline in a sense, especially young, like you're cementing who you are as
Mhm.
future adult. And that's why it was so trippy when I came back. I actually went to college because I wanted to get my paramedic at the time to, basically be more desirable by departments. And yeah, I was playing on the rugby team at BSU, and it was so different than coming back, at like 20 or like I guess 19 after all that. And then like being around just your average 18-year-old that just graduated high school. That was different. Like,
Yeah.
not saying like better or worse. It was just different because then you're trying to fit in with a crowd that's like,
Yeah.
there to party, have a fun time. And like, don't get me wrong, I had my blast, but I just felt like I had, I don't know, direction.
Mhm.
And I was very much trying to accomplish that. And that's actually is kind of funny because I lived in Identity Apartments off of Beacon, and my wife Tori, so she lived 2 doors down. I was here, she was there. We'd never bumped into each other, and one day my roommate's coming home from work, and he worked at Gallon as a gate guard out there. So he was the Air Force side, I was the Army. So we, kind of got to experience the guard together. As really got fit in really well with each other. So he's coming down the hallway, and she sticks her head out. It's like, hey, I'm getting ready to go play music at an open mic. Could you listen to my song and like tell me how it is? He's like, I know nothing about music, but my roommate's in a band and he's a musician, so I'll go grab him. So he comes back. He's like, dude, there's a hot girl a couple doors down, like wants you to listen to music. I'm like, change the shirt, put on deodorant, make sure I smell good, look good, go over. And she's, I just remember sitting there on her bed, and she starts playing. She had a piano in her room. She starts playing it, and it was like, wow. I was like, I just like, I don't know. It was an awesome moment, and literally from that, I was like, we need to jam out, we need to hang out. And like literally that relationships moved so fast. Cause the next thing I know, we're going on our first date. So I asked her out, I was like, hey, like, let me take you to sushi. So it was during the time it's kind of snow hitting down. They had that free ride sign on the horse-drawn carriage downtown Boise. So we're chasing that the whole time, trying to catch it because we keep missing it by like a block to get on. So finally, ended up at Dharma Sushi. We grabbed some sushi, and we're still chasing that ride sign. We're like, oh, we're not going to catch it. Like they're gone. But we saw the jump building had a party going on the top floor. So I looked at her. I was like, hey, you want to pretend like we know everyone here? Let's just see if we can like how far we can get into this party. So it's a bunch of drunk, like 30, 40-year-olds. We go up to the top floor there and, hey, long time no see. And they all went with it. Like they all just, yeah, man, like it's been like 10 years, right? Like, so we had no clue what the party was even for, but we just mingled with that entire crowd. And yeah, it literally then ended up that they have this like leaf thing where you can play music through. So we walked down to that, and yeah, I had her show me one of her favorite songs, and she showed me a song by Matt and Ken called "Let Go," and then I showed her a song by Current Joys called "A Different Age," and it was literally from that moment, like it was, I don't know, love at first sight or whatever you want to call it, but it was just, man, I really feel this person. I really dig this person. And a week later, we're going over to Seattle, and I'm meeting her family and all that. And it was just, it moved so fast. And it was, 6 months later, we are married, and or I guess about 8 months total. But it's pretty crazy because she was definitely going through. So she was playing softball at BSU. Had gotten a full ride scholarship for 4 years there. And her sophomore year, they got a new coaching staff and brought in their own players. And the coach sat her down and was like, hey, you're not going to play. Like I'm bringing in new pitching staff. I'm bringing in new pitchers and all that. So for her, that was definitely a pivotal moment in her life. They're like, we'll honor your scholarship, but you basically will just show up and sit on the bench the whole season as if you're okay with that. If not, we'll put in, you can go in the transfer portal, and we will gladly support and help you find a school. And she did that. She chose to go in the transfer portal because she felt like she had not lived up to all of her life was also softball based. So she ended up then going to NNU, and NNU's rules where you either had to be 22, 22 in financial hardship to live off the dorms, you had to be married, or like it had to be like signed off by the parents, like you're living with the parents. So there was like no real like way for us to get around that. So we literally went and got annulled at a courthouse on a Monday morning. Give you a list and you call all the judges, and it was like,
yeah, I remember that because I think you were pretty new at the department.
Yeah,
and we were like, "What? This dude just got married."
Yeah, yeah, really.
Yeah, but we didn't know you that well. We didn't know your situation or anything like that.
Yeah,
we were just like,
crazy.
there was a whole reason for it.
Yeah, it was crazy because like I just remember looking at her and I was like, "Hey, like, you want to do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to." And I was like, I love you. Like like I said, probably about 6 or 8 months at the time, but it was like, this is going to be forever. She was like, absolutely. So I just remember calling that list of judges, and we get there, and you have to call, like, there's like 12 judges on the thing, and you find one that picks up that can marry you that day. So then we go in, and he's like, you guys sure you want to get married on a Monday? And we're like, yeah. Like, so our plan was, because we knew it was so fast, we were going to just get married in secret, not tell anyone. And then a year later propose and make it the whole social media for family and everything. We were just going to pretend that like, the marriage would only just be between us. No one would know that, but we were just going to, then a year later, then like make it look all official and then host a wedding and all that. It was real good in theory, but then after we got married, we're like, man, we just like want to be able to tell people. We want to be able to talk about it. We want to, it's so exciting, right? And it's such a pivotal part of who you're going to grow to become and who you are. And yeah, the biggest thing too was I didn't want her parents to find out without like me telling him. I didn't want him to find out secondhand, like, so that was, I remember going to the fire station at Orchard at the time and kind of talking to the crew that I was with at the time. Hey guys, so like, this is the situation I'm in. Like, I feel like I got to come clean to the dad. Like, I got to go up there and go talk to him, because I just don't want it to be a game. Like they're at a softball game and then somehow, a coach told someone and it gets out. So they were like, yeah, that's a smart call. So I was like, well, I'm leaving tomorrow and we're driving up to Seattle. And again, we had gone up to Seattle quite a bit where her family lives. And it's usually, I'd say, pretty, like, it's a fun drive. We're jamming out to tunes, we're blasting music, we're having fun the whole ride up. This one was solemn silence. Like, we're just sitting there, and like quiet as could be. And then like she'd ask, you want to rehearse it? I'm like, yeah, so Steve, here's it. So we'd spent the whole time getting this whole plan of like what we're gonna say. We her grandma at the time lived in Tri-Cities, so that was like our halfway point, and she's this tiny little Japanese woman, yeah, super Taru, and she goes, "Oh, you guys so nervous, why are you guys nervous?" And we're like, "Oh, no reason, Grandma." Like we were like, we wanted to tell the dad first, and then on the way back, we were gonna tell her.
Yeah.
So we drive up there, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. Him and Beth were super excited that we were there, and they, he rolls out the red carpet, made steaks and everything for us. And I'm looking at Tori. She's so nervous. She can't eat. I'm sitting there and I was like, oh, we got to do this. It's like 11 o'clock at night. So I was like, hey, Steve, you want to see my car? I was driving a Ford Fusion at the time. It was nothing impression, but I was just trying to get him outside so I could have some one-on-one time with him. He's like, yeah, sure. He's a pretty big dude, like 6'3", like 270, 260 kind of in there. So we get outside, we're standing by the car, and I'd rehearsed this entire speech, the whole ride, 8 hours. And the first thing I started off with, I don't know where it came from, but I was like, first off, she's not pregnant. And he looks at me and he's like, what? And I was like, no, like, let me explain. Like, so that I tell him, I'm like, hey, Steve, like, I love your daughter to death. With us transferring to NNU, this is prompted us into making this like adult decision of like, we're going to get married. I love your daughter. I would do it in a heartbeat again, but I wanted to be the one to tell you I married your daughter, but she's not pregnant. That's what I meant to say. Like, she's not pregnant. This isn't a shotgun wedding. We've been married now for about a month. We're going to host a whole thing a year from now, but I wanted to let you know. And like, I'm like, oh, here it comes. Cause all the guys at the fire station is like, he's going to punch you. He's going to punch you. And he leans in. I'm like flinching for here comes the hit. And then he gives me a hug and he goes, right on, man. That's so rock. Literally, that's what he said. Right on, man. That's so rock. So I was like, oh, so do you want to tell Beth, or like, should I tell her? Or like, should we kind of like Tori should tell her? What's the best? He's like, well, I've known her for a long time. I'll tell her. We walk in the door and we see Tori and Beth sitting, and they both had tears in their eyes. And she goes, well. And we're like, oh, Tori already told her. And they're totally cool with it, totally accepting. And like, we all got along so well because her dad, motorcycles, music, sports, the whole 9 yards. I was into all that stuff. And, they just had seen how happy Tori was with since we started dating. So it's pretty crazy. Like, definitely do not recommend that to anyone out there that's thinking about, getting married. Like, just go tell the parents, and like, yeah, you can't really keep things like that a secret. So I learned that the hard way. We're going on 5 years this month though. So it's
working.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, you guys have an awesome relationship. They've done a lot together. Yeah. I wonder if you built up those like assumptions that just based on your parents and thinking like that they were going to be that way.
Totally. I thought that it was going to be this huge thing. And what's so funny too is like, Tori was so oppositely raised. Like, her parents were not into like religion or anything like that growing up. Is sports, and like sports was their main focus, I'd say. And like just being good people. That was very much. And like, I think for my parents, it was really cool for them to see someone successful in life, successful as a person, that has no religious upbringing, that has no like, religion is not the reason for that. I think that's helped them grow a little bit as humans, to see like their daughter-in-law is, a great person without like that necessary. Like, cause that was such a big thing for my parents is, oh, you better marry a Christian girl. You know, you better marry someone that's strong in the faith. And like she since then grew into faith, going to NNU and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And really, but like, yeah, it was just different. Like it's so different too to see how we're raised. Cause like my parents were not into the sports. Like they liked music up until music was not about God. And then it's like my parents have never come to a concert like with our band. They've never supported anything unless it was church-based music. And that was
Really?
very much how they are. Versus
Mhm.
with Tori's dad, he's like, I'll fly in and go watch you guys at the net on,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I've played shows with him. He's
Yeah,
played
we
shows
always
with
see
us.
him around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
it's really cool how supportive as a parent he is, and like just how like he is. I model a lot of my father philosophy off of him. To be honest, like the more I get to know him as a man and who he is, like he's just a good
Mhm.
parent, you know. And a year after we got married, her parents split. So that's always a trip as older adults to kind of like you really start analyzing, well, why did they split? Why what did they, because we don't want that to ever happen with us. So it's
Mhm.
like, well, where did they go wrong? What messed up? You know? So it's like
Yeah.
those are definitely things to learn and adjust and grow from. But yeah,
Yeah.
marriage is not for the faint of heart, and it's a great thing and it's awesome. I love it. I recommend it. But I
Mhm.
also do think like it's gonna grow you both as people more
Mhm.
than you'll ever know, you know?
Yeah, you have to be willing to grow.
Mhm.
Because if you grow together, because yeah, I mean, even my wife and I have been married almost 7 years now, and we're not the same people we were when we got married.
No.
We're
No.
very different, but as
Yeah.
long as we're growing together,
Yeah.
it's gonna work out. And we're
Absolutely.
yeah, we prioritize God and our relationship so we can be there for our kids.
Totally.
And we were having a conversation the other day of I don't remember who I was having it with, but it was basically people who grow up in faith and like in a really religious household tend to have a lot harder life because they have to be a certain way
Mhm.
at all times.
Yeah.
I was always faithful, but I drifted in and out and I church hopped and
Yeah.
I always had it within me. Like prayer is a really big thing for me because that's spiritual and that's me
Yeah.
having a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Um, but I always did have a hard time with the religious aspect and
Yeah.
the man-made aspect of things. So when our kids, we want them to have that relationship with God, and we know that it comes in waves and it comes at different
Mhm.
times. We don't force anything on our kids.
Yeah.
And talking to people, they have resentments or
Totally.
just bad memories or
Yeah.
hardships. It's because the relationship is forced on them. People find it at different times. I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned your wife had found it later on.
Yeah.
I found it later on. My
Mhm.
wife has always just had it within her. Like without her, I would not be where I am right now.
Yeah.
She's super rooted, but it's not forced. It's natural,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful when it's
Which is
that way.
amazing.
So
Mm.
everyone will find it in their own time. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that's my little tangent.
No, I like it. I
yeah.
like it. I 100% agree. I just think that like that is so valuable to just be able to find it
Mhm.
on your time and where you are at in your place, you know. And I think that that's like you hit on some good things talking about marriage, growing together is so important. Learning to
Mhm.
communicate, being open, and just like you are gonna change. Like I know the person I am now at 26. When I'm 30, I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna go, what was I doing then? You know, like who what we've my wife and I both are gonna grow so much in different interests, different things that we're like into. Like it's just like you grow every day, and that's I think what's so beautiful about marriage is like that you get to grow with someone else and ultimately sculpt the rest of your lives together. So like for us, a big thing is the band. We play in a band together called Town of Trees, and like for us, it's a chance to connect as a couple as well as write music and express a lot of these maybe feelings and stuff we have and like just kind of put them out there. So yeah, it's
How'd you guys start the band?
yeah, so actually after that first time we met, we were hanging out and she came over. We like only been dating for like a week and she was over in my room and at the time it was a little apartment studio. I had electric drums, probably like 12 guitars, piano, like barely room for a bed and around all these musical instruments. And I was like, she's like, "Oh, you're like way into music." I was like, "Yeah, I'm like kind of playing a folk band is what we were at the time." And it's like, "Hey, like you want to come sing at a show? Like, because I'm not a great, I was the singer at the time, and I'm like, I'm not a great singer, but Tori could really sing. And I was like,
Mm.
you know, you want to come sing at a show and like, I'll play guitar. And she's like, what? Played like at a show before, and let's do it. So we played at the Hive in Boise, a little tiny, like 40-person venue, you know, and
Mm.
it was just after playing on stage with her, I was like, wow, it was so fun. The prep, the practice, all that for it. And that's kind of how it was. It became that. Town Trees, I'd started back. It's going on like 8 years ago now, but basically it was, I'd been writing music as soon as I kind of got back from the military. Even when I was there, I just, you know, playing guitar and just really started to write songs and connect with like storytelling, you know. And it was like, how do I do this in a band? I'd never actually played in a band. I'd done like high school, like jazz band, stuff like that, but I'd never actually done a rock band or folk or whatever you want to call it. So I got a couple guys together and we tried to come up with a name. And originally I was like, well, we're in Idaho. Like, what if we're like, like potatoes or spuds or like, and then I was writing down stuff and I wrote tots, like tater tots.
Mhm.
And then that's originally we're like, oh, tots. And I was like, what if this is an analogy or like I don't know what you call it, but like where
Mhm.
it says like, oh, town of trees, and it's like Boise. So it was, yeah, tots and
Oh,
so,
awesome.
yeah, that's where we got the name, and we've been rocking with it ever since. And it's been fun to discover our music identity and what that is, because it grows with us as we grow as humans. And I think it's been a blast. Like where we're at now, when we laugh and we look back at videos like Swipe Left, and it cringes us out. Like listening to some of these songs we used to drop, we're just like, oh. But the more we talk to other bands, the more we see it, and the more we grow. It's a thing of longevity and storytelling, and it's like at any set point, like you're gonna write stuff you like, and then I'm
Mhm.
sure 10 years from now we'll look back at the single we're dropping this next week. Here we go, and be like, what were we thinking? You know, but I think it's that way for anyone. When you talk to even like famous musicians that made it, like they always look back and they're like, oh, like, because you're just growing, right? And you change
Yeah.
as people, like you were talking about. You change and you're like, huh,
Mhm.
man, where did that come from? But the only difference is whatever you wrote as musician, it's stuck on the internet for the rest of your life. So
Mhm.
it's yeah.
I think there's a trait that creators have, musicians have that I mean everybody's capable of doing it, but it's something within us that we'll just put it out there
Yeah.
and we'll just do it. We'll
Yeah.
just try it and
Yeah.
we'll do it. And it's
Yeah.
almost like shameless in a way, just like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we gotta start somewhere.
Well, and that's it.
And then you build upon it.
Yeah, you have
So
to. You have to not care. And I think that's
yeah.
the biggest thing is like I tell people so much in life, like just don't care what other people think.
Mm.
Like if it makes you happy, do it. If you
Yeah.
want to take a chance on something,
Mhm.
do it. If it's music, if it's art, if it's whatever it is, like
Mhm.
quit caring. Because I grew up in a life where I had to care so much. Like you said, the
Mhm.
religious, like it's like you care so much what other people think about you, and you're so afraid of being judged by them, judged by God, all that. And you realize, like, you know, we're made in His image. Like
Mhm.
God loved music. Why wouldn't I put it out there? You know, like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah, I
yeah.
think if you're enjoying what you're doing
Yeah.
and it's not hurting anybody and it's, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, do it. But I'm a dabbler. I like trying new things. So
Totally.
I'll get interested and enjoy doing something for a while and then
Mhm.
I lose interest in it and
Yeah,
I'll move on to something else. So
that's fair.
this is just yeah, I don't know if it's because I grew up so sheltered and I'm trying to experience things that I
Yeah,
didn't get to as a childhood,
yeah.
but yeah, just as long as you enjoy doing it, who cares?
Enjoy doing
So
it. Have fun. Do like make
yeah.
memories, and like life's too short to care what other people think. You know, and that's really what it comes down to.
Mm,
Is like gain
mm,
experience, do things that make you uncomfortable, and I think that that's so valuable in life. Like some of
mm.
my most fun memories or things that I look back on and I'm most proud of have been things that I was uncomfortable with doing at the point, you know, like
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable with going out with Tori on the first day. I was uncomfortable with playing on stage my first few times. You know, I was very uncomfortable with buying our first home because it was like so much so I was working at Orchard Fire and I was like, I need to pick up a second job and go work at Guitar Center to supplement income because I'm so uncomfortably scared with this mortgage, you know?
Mhm.
Like uncomfortable with making like friends in the friend group, you know, that like now are like lifelong friends. Like being uncomfortable and in a constant state of uncomfortability, I think grows you because
Mhm.
when you are the same, you feel like you're in the motions. And I think like it's so many people I see like get stuck in those motions and it sucks because it's like a constant, oh, I have the same routine when I wake up, I go to work and I go to my 9 to 5 and then I circle
Mhm.
back and then I go back and then I wake up and then I go to my 9 to 5. And it's just this constant circle of just and like I love when I see when people experience something for the first time, like
Mhm.
whether it's a concert, like or it's traveling or like going somewhere, and
Mhm.
like just the wait, there's more than this little circle. Like it's a whole big spectrum of like what you can do, and it's just yeah, I don't know, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. I Yeah, schedules and like the and anxiety of something like planned out in the future. That's
Yeah,
that's something I've always been uncomfortable with. I'm more of
yeah,
a spontaneous person in nature, but
totally.
my wife's the opposite. She likes
My wife
planning and
keeps me in
stuff.
check too.
So it's a good balance between us because I'd be spontaneous and she'll have stuff planned out. And
Yeah,
I think that's why we like cruises so much.
totally,
It's such a good
totally.
vacation. You just show up and it's there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
So
awesome. That's
yeah.
super awesome.
But you guys got a show planned for what date is that
Yeah,
again?
July 20th. It's gonna be next Saturday, I think. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's playing with the Hell's Bells, which we're excited for because this last year, we started getting serious about music. I'd say like the last year and a half. Like
Mhm.
up until then, we played in a band, and then we started looking at what's it gonna take to take it to the next level. And we're gonna need to like start dropping some actual like well recorded singles, not just garage band stuff. Cause we've
Mhm.
done all of our own mixing and mastering. We're gonna have to send it out. We're gonna have to audit it.
Mhm.
We're basically gonna have to write. We're gonna have to come up with a defined sound. So this whole last year, that album Something Pink was rebranding to what we are now, and I'd say that's our sound, like the early 2000s pop punk kind
Yeah.
of feel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some like band influences with your guys' sound.
yeah.
Is like Neon Trees
Totally.
anything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Neon Trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say like them,
Yeah.
Paramore, Blink 182. I've always been into like
Yeah.
that whiny pop punk style.
Uh-huh.
I love playing it on the drums. I love Travis Barker on the
Oh,
drums. So
nice.
it's like I grew up being like this is music. So it's fun for us to write that. But the biggest thing is I'd say our goal is like I love folk music for the storytelling aspect. So we're trying to blend those two of saying hey, I want to tell stories that help people with where they're at in their lives and what's going on and tell stories, but also give it that, like, I guess, edgy-ish sound to it. So that's
Mhm.
kind of been, I think, our mission as a band is to be genuine and true to who we are. And people feel genuine when they listen to us. And it's been fun to see the response. And like we're actually dropping a music video for Here We Go. And it's gonna be cool because our plan is every 3 months to drop a single and a music video and just do that and kind of build this catalog. And in the meantime, keep booking shows with like the Knitting Factory and venues that are like we've valued, like those B-level venues where it's like, oh, we love the groups that come in there and tour in there and play in there. So
Mhm.
but we know it's a game of time and consistency. And like Wesley Schultz from the Lumineers, like I had a FaceTime with him and it was pretty cool. He was basically like, hey, we were doing this for like 15 years. We were a band called Six Butt Cheeks. Like it takes a while before anyone knows you, but you just stay consistent and true to like your message and who you are as an artist. And it was really cool. Like one of Tucker, Tucker is
Yeah.
yeah, so I work with him at Boise Fire now, but we were at his graduation celebration. I was talking to his brother-in-law, which is the singer for Calexico and tours around full time with that. He's getting ready to go on a Europe tour, but it was cool talking to him because he's very much the same thing. He's like, dude, it's gonna take time, and that's the cool part with Tori and I. It's like we have time to give. It's
Mhm.
like our baby in a sense. Like we're putting time into this, we're growing it, and we're
Yeah.
it's yeah.
You've
So
you set yourself up well to still do
mhm.
what you're doing and
Yeah,
manage the band and grow the
yeah.
band. So
I didn't
it's
want
a
to be a
good fit.
starving musician. That was
Yeah.
that was basically
You're a
a
well-fed
huge, yeah,
musician.
exactly. I
Yeah.
like food too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, it's you guys have grown a lot. It's cool to see.
no.
Curious to see, yeah, if you guys' sound will stay the same
Hmm.
or because you guys recently kind of
Yeah.
pivoted a little bit and
Yeah.
you've got your lineup in place
Yeah.
and you're starting to build. your little arsenal of
Yeah.
instruments, and you got
Yeah.
your little space up in the loft.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's
So you
been
got a
cool.
good place to practice now.
That's it. Yeah, we got the spot to practice. We got the right members, and I think that just playing in, everyone's serious about it that's in it, but all of us also aren't like we're dropping everything we're doing for music. We're like,
Mhm.
we are going to make sure we're successful in our lives. So any moment we can give to music, we can do it without having to be like, I guess we call it a musical slave, where it's like you're going off and you're literally having to play cover show after cover show after cover show after cover show just to make ends meet, because that's
Mhm.
your only source of income. So
Yeah.
we're all just wanting to be successful people as well as a successful band. That's, and it's different, because I'd say a lot, especially in the scene, like it's hard to be that, like, because most, you're kind of judged in the sense of like a lot of people want you to be that, like you got to give it all up for your dream, and it's
Mhm.
like, no, we just are gonna go on all ins and try
Yeah.
to maintain, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
I think the stability you all have in your careers and in your lives
Mhm.
keeps kind of because I mean, bands can be very cutthroat. It can be
Yes,
very dramatic. It can
yes,
be very high and lows. So
yes,
you guys don't have those issues because of
yeah.
what you set up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's it's it's
yeah.
it's and it makes it more enjoyable, like, when you're not worried about it, and it's like we can do stuff that we want to as a band, and, like, we
Mhm.
can dive in and, like,
Yeah.
spend some time, and the cool part is, like, now with the singles, we basically all record our own parts, and then, like, we send them, like, I go track drums at a guy named Fred Fisher. He has a School of Rock in Meridian. It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
right over there, kinda near like the Cole and like Hazelish area
Okay.
side, more over on that side. But yeah, he phenomenal drum instructor and has like 80 students and stuff in this full studio. So he's another dream chaser, right? Set up his whole garage as to track drums specifically. Super cool place. So definitely plugging him. But yeah, Fred Fisher, if you ever need to track drums. And Tori, we built a vocal booth where we did PVC with those moving blankets. So we basically
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, so it like dampens the sound enough to where
Mhm.
she goes in there and she's just, able to sing, because singing such a, you feel it when you do
Mhm.
it and then you don't. And it's like hard to almost schedule at a studio, because it's like at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, you're going to go in and you're going to sing and be in the right, especially with her coaching full time. It's like,
Mhm.
and running that business, she does a lot of yelling. So it's like her voice,
Yeah.
when she has it and it's like in the good spot to sing and she's not sick, she's like, I'm gonna go track. I'm gonna go, so she just goes up there in the studio and tracks it. Chris
Yeah.
is all electric effects, so he runs all of his guitar, and same with our bass. So player.
Mhm.
So we just kind of send it all together, we mix it up, make sure it all sounds good, and then we send it off to get mixed, which has been so nice, not sitting there for 40 hours trying to mix it ourselves,
Are you doing that with the same person or?
It was through someone off of Fiverr we met, Corey Bradenson, and
Oh,
he
okay.
it's like basically a super cool platform for musicians out there. It's totally worth the couple $100 if you're gonna, go get your song mixed, but you basically just get rankings of everyone. You can submit
Mhm.
it to work, you send them all the stems and they bounce it back to you, and
Nice.
got it, like, and they know what they're doing and they actually put a good mix on it.
Yeah, that's
They
cool.
spend their whole time in on it, so
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
I've only had one song mixed, and it was a cool experience, but
Yeah.
we watched him do it in the
Mhm.
studio.
Yeah.
It was right by the railroad tracks
Oh,
here.
okay.
I can't remember the name of the place. They sold it. He moved on to something
Mhm.
else, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't realize with the singing, you don't
Yeah.
you got to be in the moment. It's
Yeah.
probably more so than the other
Yeah,
instruments.
because like drums, I
Yeah.
can practice for like
Uh-huh.
I'll practice the
Yeah.
metronome the whole time, especially before I'm going into the thing. I have the whole song
Yeah.
memorized, where it's like I know exactly this is the
Mhm.
fill I'm doing. This is the it's
Yeah.
all programmed basically, and I can record that at any point.
Yeah.
Guitar, same thing. As long as your guitar's in tune, you
Mhm.
can record it. Same with bass, but vocals is such a the amount you use your voice, because that's the take. It's you're putting effects and all that on it, but your raw vocal, and like it's really funny like how my wife will talk about it, because Tori just like, you know, we sent this last song, we were listening to it and we're like, we're having a talk about it. And it was perfectly in tune. It was very like, oh, like she's a more open singer. And then like they're like, what if you go nasal? Like she's like, no, choir
Mm.
background. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Mhm.
And like the difference of like just how you open your throat, or like how you project, like here we go versus here we go. Like just the way the mic picks that up
Mhm.
is different. Like it like creates a variance. So I think for her, it was pretty fun to experiment. This whole year, she's been experimenting with her voice to find her sound as a singer. And it's definitely a blend of what she knows and what she's trying to be. And I think it's kind of that middle ground. And yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same with the shows as far as recording or the pre-show ritual or anything like that to get into the zen.
She brings, like, even when we were up in Seattle playing at Belltown Yacht, she has like a whole little, whatchamacallit, like little tea kettle and like her whole little like vocal routine warm-ups. And for me, it's like, I'll have a beer and I'm like, let's go do this thing. You know, she's la da da da, you know, so yeah, it's fun to watch for sure.
Nice. Yeah. You ever lose a stick while you're playing drums?
Oh yeah. I've broken sticks. I've lost sticks. I have these giant sticks that they're like 6 foot long.
Yeah, I saw those at your last show.
Yeah, those are pretty crazy. There's that's been the fun part, is as we watch more touring bands and like what we consider professional level bands, you realize how much goes into it. The clicks, the tracks, the cues, the stage presence, the outfits, the costumes, the lights, the mix, like everything's the theatrics of it. Like, it takes a lot to write a good show. And our philosophy is, we as a band, like, we are there for the people that came to see us or didn't come to see us. We're there to give them the best show and best experience that they can have as, you know, possible. So if it means us trying uncomfortable stunts and doing stuff to make their experience more enjoyable, we're going to do that. And that's been fun for us to explore. I love like writing show routines and all that. And like, but it's been way outside our comfort zone. Again, being uncomfortable, going back to like, if it was my choice, I'd stand there with a guitar and just play folk music and move. But like, versus costume changes and jumping up on drum thrones and throwing sticks and catching them. And, you know, like just the stuff that you realize that all the stuff that you see from an audience perspective, it's all scripted, you know, it's all done to a T, that they've rehearsed that and pushed themselves constantly to give those people a great show. Like, because it's not about us, it's about them. And like, that's, I think, our philosophy with most of the music. It's, you know, like, whether you cheer or like us or not, that's not what we're there for. We're there, like, people came out to our show, we want to give them the best show that they've seen. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys worked pretty hard on your last show, and it's cool to see you're doing another show this month.
Yeah,
because I think the last time I talked to you, you guys weren't for sure. And you got this one scheduled.
Yeah,
so
it'll be fun.
Get more shows, but
it'll be a good time. Yeah,
we'll be there. So
yeah,
looking forward to see it. My daughter has one of your guys' shirts. She loves.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super awesome.
But we'll plug some of your music in here, man.
Yeah,
that'll be good. Go check them out.
Heck yeah.
Town of Trees. I do love Tots.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that you were the dual reference there.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Tater Tots. Yeah.
Well, it's good having you on, brother. Anything else you wanted to talk about, or?
No, I think that wraps it up. And thank you for having me. This was an absolute blast.
It was fun, man. Yeah. I appreciated the conversation. So, well, take care, brother.
You too.
Peace.